Hello and welcome to another session of Sqoop. So in all of our previous examples, what we have done is we have imported the data, we have provided the username, but we have also provided the password in test format, right? So if you look any of my previous comments, you will see username as root and password you have given Cloudera. So your password is basically exposed. It's not a good practice, but I have seen these things in the projects in real time as well. So let's say you have a shared user ID and password which everybody in the project is using. So that time you can basically, it's people would say it's okay to expose that password because anyway anybody can use it, everybody's aware of it. But however, still it is always a good practice to make sure that your password is not provided in the commands or in the code. So what we can do here is there are two ways of storing this password. One is basically you can have the password stored in a file, then you can also have the password encrypted. So what we will do is let's store the password into a particular file. So echo-n cloudera. So when you do this, it is basically printing the password, whatever store data you have. Now -n is basically to make sure that there are no new lines. Okay, your password should not have any space, it should not have any new lines. So I am going to store this password in home Cloudera. I will create a file, maybe my let's say pass file, simple, right? So if you do a cat on this pass file, you should have this Cloudera password. Now when you use a Sqoop command, you can basically refer to this file instead of exposing the password. So I'll write a very simple Sqoop command. So here's a Sqoop import, and I want to connect it. This is my JDBC. We will use a retail DB. We have to give the username here, which is root. Now here generally we will say password, right? And then we give the password. Instead, what we'll do is we will say password file, and we give the file. So the file is here in the edge node. So we give file and then 3/. This is where the password file is, and then we just give the other details. Let's just do with one mapper, and we are importing the. So we will store this here in data underscore import. So this is the target directory we will be using. So here we have not mentioned the password, rather we have used the password file. So let's execute this. Okay, it says this directory is already existing. So what we can do is we can delete the directory using delete directory, or I'll just put another directory for this purpose, right? All right, so the data is now retrieved. It has retrieved all this data, and if you can go ahead and check this data, right? So I have the file here. So we have used just mapper as one, that's why you will only see one file. So this way we can import this data, we can connect to Sqoop without exposing the password. So we store the password in a file, and then we have given that in the command. Now you may have a question like, hey, you have not exported the password, but then again you have mentioned the file name where the password is stored. What if people can go ahead and check this password? Yes, that is a possibility. Now, so what we can do here is, for this file we can give permissions to only certain individuals who really require it. So if you are the person who is going to execute this command, you should have the permission for this file. You should also have the permission to this Sqoop command. Similarly, if there are other members of your team, only those people should have the permission. Any other person who is not supposed to execute this command should not have this permission. So this is how you can control how your password can be retrieved. You're basically restricting your password to people who really are authorized to use it. Now there is a better way of doing this. So what if instead of storing the password in test format, we store it in an encrypted way? Using with this, what will happen is, even if an individual who is not authorized to use this password, if he has access to this file, he will only see the encrypted password. He have to decrypt it to use it, right? So it's a lot more secure. Now we can achieve this in Sqoop. Sqoop supports JKS to store the passwords, which we can be encrypted, which they can be encrypted. So now this JKS is basically a Java key store, is a repository of security certificates. So it either is for authorization or public key transfer. It also has some private keys and other things in the encryption format, right? Now we're not going to cover what JKS is, what are the other features of JKS, but if you want to understand about this, feel free to Google. There are a lot of good documents or good articles on this, but we will limit ourselves to Sqoop. So we need to use this JKS to encrypt the password. So there are 3 steps here. So first step that we have to do is we have to create an encrypt password. So we use this command JSX, and then this is the HDFS location where you want to store the password, right? And once you create this, it will ask you for the password, and you give your password. Basically it will encrypt the password and it will store in this location, HDFS temp, whatever the location that you specify. You can cat this location to see how the file, how the password is. It won't be in a text file, it will be in encrypted format. Now this particular format, this particular file, you can use it. Now if you see here, right, this is an alias that we give. So this we don't even have to give this location, we just give this alias. So the alias here is encrypt password. So if you see this Sqoop import, so this is what we have to put. This line of code is basically to check the provider, the path where we have the JSX my password, then we have the connect identifiers, and if you see here, right, instead of password you're using password alias encrypt password. So this is the alias that we have created here. So this way we will be able to use the encryption. So let's go ahead and start this. So I have the commands here. So the first thing is basically to create an encrypted password. So the path is here, but then your password will have an alias. So you can refer to this path, or you can also refer to this alias. So when you give this alias, it will basically refer to this path. So I'm going to copy this and let me clear this up. So we have to give the password. So my password is Cloudera. Just for confirmation it is asking. So it says that password has been successfully encrypted. So this is the alias that we have. So let me just do a cat. So this is how your password would be. As you can see, this is all in encrypted format. So even if you give this password to an individual, he cannot use this, right? So you'll have to decrypt it. Now let's go ahead and use this password. So I have the Sqoop import. This is where we specify the path where the file is, where the password is. And then instead of using the password file or password name, we use the password alias. So this is the encrypted password. So if I go ahead and execute this, this should execute and it should be able to run smoothly. So it has retrieved all those records, right? It has retrieved the records, the data is retrieved, and we have not even mentioned the password file name, or we have not even mentioned the password. So this is a more secure way of doing the password. So you can use this encryption and then you can secure your password. So this is a good feature to have. So if your projects are using the passwords by just storing it in a file, or maybe you're just exposing it as it is, so instead you can recommend this. This is a better way of storing the password, and anytime you you change the password, all you have to do is you'll have to re-execute this first command where you are encrypting the password and give the new password. This way you can refer to the updated password. So this is what I wanted to cover. I hope these things are clear, and I'll see you guys in my next class.